Good morning, children. Welcome to class 8 science. In today's class, we are going to start next chapter called as materials. Means whatever the materials which we used to observe in our nature is classifying into two categories, that is metals and non-metals. So in our today's chapter is materials. So materials is classifying into metals and non-metals. So generally, before going to study metals and non-metals, let me comes to a brief discussion, like introduction about this. So, if it comes to any kind of substance, see every kind of material is made up of some kind of substance. So now, if it comes to a substance, I have taken some substance, but substance which cannot be broken into two or more simpler substances by any kind of chemical reactions. Means I have taken some substance. Understand? So this substance I cannot break it into two or more simpler substances by any kind of chemical reactions. Means chemical reactions basically will take place by applying heat. You don't get confused. I will explain you clearly. By applying heat, understanding light or electricity. So basically the chemical reactions will take place. See, in class 7 we have studied what is physical reaction and what is chemical reaction. Understand? So basically the chemical reactions will take place with the help of heat, light or electricity. Now, even though with the help of this kind of chemical reactions, if any kind of substance which cannot be broken into two or more simpler substances, then that substance is called as element. You remember, that substance is called as element. So what is the meaning of, understand what is the importance of this element? Means every substance is made up of some kind of element. So that is the reason why we need to study element. Understand? For example, if we'll take iron. So iron I have taken. So if we'll take iron is a method of carrying out chemical reactions such as by applying heat, light or electricity. We cannot be broken down into two or more simpler substances. So here you may think that, sir, I have taken iron slab and I will cut it into four pieces, means then it will become into simpler substances. Correct? So here cutting is what? Physical reaction. It is not a chemical reaction. I am saying you that chemical reaction. Suppose if you take iron atom, see every iron is an element. So this element is made up of what? Iron atoms. So here if you take iron is always contains only iron atoms. So these atoms cannot be broken into any kind of simpler substances by any kind of chemical reactions like applying heat or applying light or applying electricity. Understanding? So iron is an element because it cannot be broken down into two or more simpler substances by the usual methods of carrying out chemical reactions such as by applying heat, light or electricity. Understand? So you please note that the elements themselves are the simpler substances or else the simplest substances. That is why it is not possible to broken down into two or more simpler substances, because elements itself they are simplest substances. Understand? So that is why they cannot be broken down or else split up into any two or more simpler substances. So if we'll take examples for elements, so some of the common elements which we used to observe in our daily life is hydrogen. Understand? So if we'll take hydrogen, so hydrogen you guys very well know hydrogen. So examples for elements is hydrogen, understanding, oxygen, like helium. Understand? Helium gas we used to fill in balloons. Nowadays you guys used to observe that. Understand? Helium, carbon, iron. Understand? Like that so many we can take. Nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, silicon, chlorine, bromine, iodine, sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, aluminum, iron, zinc. Your favorite jewelries, gold, silver, mercury. So these all are examples of elements. We are having around 118 elements we are having. So these all are examples of any few. You just need to remember. If they will ask you the question that write examples for an element, you have to write at least two or three. Understand? So these all are elements. So now this every element, see here I am writing every element is like a full form, correct or not? Hydrogen, oxygen, helium, carbon, like that. So it is very hectic to write every time, repeating the same word. Whenever I will used to get hydrogen, hydrogen means I no need to write this out. So now to make it easy for our convenient, these kind of elements, every element is represented by a some kind of symbol. Understanding? Suppose, for example, if it comes to my name is Manikyam. So instead of writing Manikyam, I will write my name is M. So whenever you will see M means what? Manikyam. Like that, all the elements also we can represent it by a symbol. So all the elements have their separate symbols. Understand? So there is no common symbol for any kind of two elements or any kind of three elements or anything. So if you will take two different elements, they are having it to different symbols. So these symbols they have taken from different kind of languages. One is from that we all will study in class 9th clearly. Understand me? Because we are going to study properties of atoms and all. So suppose, for example, if we will take a few elements and names, symbols is taken from the understanding English. Few elements is taken from the English words and few elements is taken from the Arabic words. Few elements is taken from the Greek words. Depend upon the same name repeating. Suppose my name is Manikyam, M is this coming. Next person name is suppose let me take some other name like Money. So Money is also starting with M only. So by the time I cannot represent both the names with M and M. M and M. Suppose if I'll represent my name with M, then another name Mani or Manikanta or Manikam, some other name we used to represent with some other letter, MA. Understand? Then MA is indicating what? Money, and M is indicating Manikyam. Like that, depend upon the situation. If the same elements is starting with the same kind of letter, then we have to go for some other kind of alternate. So anyhow, we are choosing some kind of symbol for the every kind of element. Understand? So all the elements have separate symbols. No two elements can have the same symbol. Understand? So what is the meaning of symbol? Symbol is the short way to write an element. Short way to represent an element or else write an element. For example, if we'll take the symbol of hydrogen. So the symbol of hydrogen, just I will write H. That is indicating what? Hydrogen. Like that here, whereas here what it is? Like that if we'll consider suppose carbon symbol is I will write. Understanding? See, suppose if it comes to helium symbol, see, helium and hydrogen starting with H only. So what we have studied that no two elements can have the same symbol. So for helium, I will take He is the symbol of helium. Like that you have to take. Suppose one more element is coming with the H only, then we have to go for some other. We'll see the alternative name of that element in different languages. Means like suppose if we'll take some name in English, it's having a different meaning in a language, in like a Latin word or else a Greek word, some word will take. So for that Greek word will take first letter like that. Understanding? So here, suppose if we'll take oxygen symbol is O only. So here carbon symbol is C. Like that if you'll observe carefully here, the symbol of an element also represents only one atom of an element. One atom, not the more than one. You remember, always the symbol of an element is represent only one atom of that element. So now we will discuss the symbols of elements. Understand in details in higher classes. You don't need to worry. In class 9th, we will study what is a symbol of an element, how it will come, from which language it has taken. Everything we'll study in higher classes. Now it is not even required. So now if you'll remember, so from this I can say that, so we know that every substance is made up of some kind of elements. Now if it comes to this element is made up of some other kind of atom, means it's like a subparticles. So that part is called as atom. So the smallest particle of an element is called as atom. So you have to note it down. What is atom? They may ask you the question. What is atom? So atom means the smallest particle of an element. The smallest particle of an element. The smallest particle of an element is called atom. Understanding? So a sample of an element contains only one kind of atom. Suppose if I have taken some kind of element, understanding? So if we'll take a sample of any part, either this part or middle or any kind of any side, if we'll take the sample, then it contains only one kind of atoms. Understanding? So from this I can make another definition for an element, that is an element is a substance which is made up of only one kind of atoms, which is made up of only one kind of atoms. That is the reason. See, every element is made up of only one kind of atoms. Understand? Suppose if we'll take, let me take, there are, understanding, suppose if we'll take different elements is made up of different kind of atoms. See, there are so many types of atoms are there. Understanding? These atoms, suppose if we'll take 100 elements, we're having 100 different types of atoms. So there are as many type of atoms as are elements. Are you clear? There are as many type of atoms as are elements. So different elements are made up of different kind of atoms. For example, if we take sulfur element, suppose if this is, let me imagine this is sulfur. This is what? Sulfur. This is sulfur element. This is sulfur element. If we take sulfur element, then this sulfur element is made up of what? Only sulfur atoms. Understanding? Like that you have taken one iron piece. Then this iron element is made up of only iron. Then it is only made up of iron atoms. Understanding? So the atoms of an element remain unaffected by the physical changes in the element. For example, if we take an atom of liquid sulfur, understanding? So liquid sulfur, or else it will take a vapor forms of sulfur, would be exactly the same as that of solid sulfur. Means if we take solid sulfur, understanding? Solid sulfur, and here liquid sulfur, and here gaseous sulfur. So everywhere, if we'll take the sample of an every part, every state of an element, then their atoms are same. They are not changing. Even though the state of the substance is changing, their atoms will be in the same kind. Understanding? So the atoms of an element remains unaffected by the physical changes of the element. Means, what is the meaning of physical? So what I said, the smallest particle of an element is called as atom. So an element is a substance which is made up of only one kind of atoms. Understand? So there are as many type of atoms as are elements. So different elements are made up of different kind of atoms. So for example, if you take sulfur element, it is only made up of only sulfur atoms, whereas iron element is made up of only iron atoms. Understand? So the atoms of an element remains unaffected by the physical changes in their element. So we know that if any kind of substance, if we take water is in the form of solid, ice, understanding, or else water in the form of liquid, or else water in the form of gas, understanding. So whereas if we'll consider, this is what converting from liquid state, solid state to liquid state to gaseous state, everywhere water only, understanding. This is called as what? Physical change. It is not chemical change. Understanding? See, because here solid water we are having, here liquid water we are having, here gaseous water we are having. So here if we take the atoms of an element remains unaffected by the physical changes in the element. So if we take solid water, it is containing only, understand, here it is, I'm not saying that here water is a compound, it is not an element, that we'll study. Suppose if we'll consider, for example, I'm saying for the namesake. Now, if we'll consider this is solid sulfur and this is liquid sulfur and this is gaseous sulfur. So the symbol of sulfur is S. Understand? So if we'll take the atoms of an element remains unaffected by the physical changes in the element. So if we'll consider, understand? So vapor forms of sulfur or else liquid forms of sulfur, they always would be exactly the same as that of solid sulfur. So whatever the atom's shape and size will be in the solid sulfur, the same properties will be in the liquid state and gaseous state. Understand? So although there is an, understand, enormous varieties of substances in the universe, but the number of elements forming these substances is very limited. So there are only around 92. Understanding? We are having it's like a different thousands, millions of different substances in the universe, but the number of elements forming these substances is very limited. That is why I told you. Understanding? So around presently also around 92 naturally occurring elements known to us. Totally 92. Understand? And an important classification of elements is in terms of metals and non-metals. Okay, so these all known elements to the human is around the 92. This is also is like a few old calculations. So if it comes to present, means it's a present 2020, around 102 elements. We know these are the 102 elements properties. We know these are 92 are naturally occurring elements, and totally we are having now presently 118 elements. In that 118 elements, we know the properties. Every properties of element is around 102 elements. We know every different characteristics of the element, and remaining elements is under research. So totally the known elements at present is 118 elements. In that 102 elements, we know the complete behavior of that elements. In that out of 92 are the naturally occurring elements, which is known to us present. So now these all the elements is a classification. We are in the classification of elements is in terms of two categories. That is only our chapter, that is metals and non-metals. So based upon the properties of these elements, see different elements is having different properties, but in the different elements is also few properties of elements is similar. So then that all the elements is classifying into one group, and the different characteristics of some other elements is also classifying into some other group. So on the basis of their properties, all the elements is divided into two main groups, that is metals and non-metals. Understand? So if we'll take examples for metals, I will say what is metal, then why we used to call the for few particular elements is called as metals, and few particular elements is called as non-metals also. Everything clearly. So if it comes to metals, understand, I will explain you the definition. So now all the elements is classifying into two categories. After in a few modules, few classes after, we may get one more classification also. That is also I will say that. Oh, that is only few elements only will show that behavior. Okay, so on the basis of their properties, all the elements can be divided into two main groups, that is metals and non-metals. So if we'll take metals, understanding. So the examples of metals is iron, copper, aluminium. So these are very well known metals to us, are examples of metals. Like that, if we'll take non-metals, then the examples of non-metals is carbon. If we'll take oxygen, hydrogen. So these all are examples of non-metals. So all the metals, if you'll observe, even though these all are different elements, see different iron is having different kind of atoms, copper is having different kind of atoms, aluminum is having different kind of atoms, but these all the elements which will comes to under metals, they are having a similar kind of properties, like all the non-metals also having similar properties. Understand? So the properties of non-metals are opposite to those of metals. If you take metals, these properties are completely opposite to the non-metals properties. So that is why these elements is classifying into two main groups, that is metals and non-metal. So both metals as well as non-metals are used in our daily life. So we also use a large number of compounds of metals and non-metals in our day-to-day life. Understand? So these elements will combine together with a chemically, then we used to get some other kind of substances. Suppose hydrogen element, understanding, and oxygen element will combine, we used to get water. Understanding? We used to get water. You don't get confused by seeing this reaction. This is water reaction, just I am saying you. So for your convenience, I will write hydrogen. So if we take hydrogen is in what? Separate, is a non-metal gas. Understand? Unlike that, oxygen also if will combine, understanding, we used to get a compound called as water. So water is the most essential substance for the every kind of survival and survival of any kind of living organism. So here if you observe, this is called as compound. Understand? So always either like different elements will combine chemically by the action of heat, light, or electricity, and they will form the new substances. So that chemically formed new substances is called as compounds. Okay, that all will, matter is classifying into elements, compounds, and mixtures. That is all we'll study in the higher classes. Class 9th we will study that. So if it comes to understanding, we are having a day-to-day in our daily life, we are having most of the applications we used to use these metals, and as well as non-metals and their compounds also. So before we go further and give a characteristics, means identifying properties of metals and non-metals, we should know the meaning of some terms, such as it's like, suppose I have given you two substances. In that, one is metal and one is non-metal. So now I will ask you to identify which is metal and which is non-metal. So here, if you don't know anything about the properties of metals and non-metals, you cannot identify, because both are is a substances only, just is a substance. So now here we are having some kind of identifying characteristics of metals and identifying characteristics of non-metals, or else of properties. So if you'll remember the properties, by testing the properties, you guys can easily classify either which one is a metal or which one is a non-metal, or both are metals or non-metals, like that, the given substance. So if you need to know that identify properties, we need to know the meaning of some terms that I will explain you clearly. You just need to note it down. So that such terms as malleable, M-A, you remember, M-A-L-L-E-A-B-L-E, malleable. I will explain you what is malleable clearly. No need to worry. Okay, malleable. Like that, we need to know the meaning of ductile. Understanding? D-U-C-T-I-L-E, D-U-C-T-I-L-E, ductile. Like that, brittle and lustrous. Understanding? So like that, we have to know the few. This is the new terms which you are going to study in this chapter. So here I will explain you now. What is the meaning of malleable? Malleable means which can be beaten with a hammer to form thin sheets, like a cover. If we'll make it a thin sheets, then that property is called as malleable. Understanding? With a hammer, if we'll make it, suppose this is a substance I have given. If I will beat with this with a hammer, then it will forming into a thin kind of sheet, like a chapati. Understanding? Or else something, okay, puri or something, we'll make it with a puri plate or something, correct or not? So that is called as malleable. Making into hammering with the hammer, understand, can be beaten with a hammer to form thin sheets without breaking. That is the most important thing. It should not be break. Without breaking. Without breaking is called as malleable. Like that, if it comes to ductile, ductile means which can be stretched or to form thin wires. If we'll make a thin wires in the form of, suppose I am having some kind of suppose this is my metal, I am not metal, I have given some substance. Now if I will try to stretch, if I will try to hammer this kind of substance, then it will form a thin kind of wires, like this, stretched or drawn into thin wires, like electrical wires. Then that property is called as ductile. Like that, if it comes to the next word, brittle means which break into pieces on hammering or else stretching. If I'll try to stretch, or else if I'll try to beat with the hammer, then if it will become into pieces, it will broken into small pieces, then that property is called as brittle. Understanding? Like that, if it comes to the last word, is called as lustrous. So lustrous means shiny. Understanding? Are you able to understand? Some kind of substances, they are having a shiny surface. So that shining surface is called as lustrous. Shiny is called as lustrous. So keep these points in mind. Now we will go the characteristics of metals and non-metals. Now if it comes to characteristics or identifying properties of metals, you just keep heading that characteristics of metals. What is the heading? Characteristics of metals. So if it comes to characteristics of metals, the important characteristics of metals are few things, that is, if we'll take most of the metals, I'm not saying, see, always a few exception cases will be present, that we will study everything in detail while we're studying the properties of metal. So the important characteristics of metals are malleable. Remember, most of the metals are malleable, understand, and ductile. Ductile means we can beat the metals into thin sheets and we can beat the metals into thin wires, ductile elements. And also metals are which they are good conductors of heat and electricity. Good conductors of heat and electricity. So also metals are lustrous or else shiny. These all are the properties of metals. If you take the metals, if any substances is shining, or else if it is beaten with a sheet, thin sheets or wires, or else good conductors of heat and electricity, then you can say that it is a metal. So metals are usually very hard and strong. That is also usually metals are hard and they are strong. Okay, they cannot be cut easily. These all are properties of metal. They cannot be cut easily. So all the metals are solids except mercury, which is a liquid metal. So these all are the properties of metal, characteristics of metals. We have to remember carefully. So most of the metals are solids. All the metals are solids except, that is why I said always some exemption cases will be present. One or two elements are excusing from any one of this property. Remaining all properties it will show. Maybe it cannot show malleable, then also it will comes to under metals only. That you have to remember that exemption cases also, that I will explain you in the next class very clearly, which metal is not showing that which property, that exemption cases also. So all the metals are solids except mercury. So mercury is a metal, but it will be present liquid state at room temperature, basically, which is a liquid metal we used to call. They will ask you what is the only liquid metal which is present, that is what? Mercury. So metals have, like that, if it comes to metals have high melting point and also boiling point. See, MP means melting point, BP means boiling point. So what is the meaning of MP and BP? We know that we have studied in class 7th, understanding conversion of states of matter from solid to liquid, liquid to gas, again from gas to liquid, and liquid to solid. So solid to liquid is called as what? Melting. So a particular temperature where the substance of solid substance is converting into liquid substances is called as melting point. Like that, at a particular temperature where the liquid substance is converting into gaseous substance is called as boiling. This process is called as boiling. So that point is called as boiling point, a particular temperature. Understand? So here, if it comes to metals, metals have high melting point and boiling points also. And also if it comes to metals, they have high densities. Understand? Means I will explain you what is the meaning of density. I think you may already know that. So I will again explain you. So metals is also having a high densities. So which means that they are very heavy. So density means heavy. That is, you have to remember. So in later higher classes, you will study the formula for metals or density also. Density means they are very heavy. They are having more mass. Okay. So also if it comes to metals are sonorous. Understand? So what is the meaning of sonorous? You guys may have heard that. SONOROUS. So the meaning of sonorous means the metals make a ringing sound when we strike them with a hard object. Means like our school bell. If we'll try to hit with a hammer or something, this is some kind of iron piece, so they will create a sound, ringing sound. Correct or not? So this making of ringing sound is a property of metals. That property name is called as sonorous. Understanding? So these all are the characteristics of metals. Understand? So some of the examples of metals, if we'll take iron, copper, aluminum, zinc, silver, gold, platinum, chromium, sodium, potassium, magnesium, nickel, cobalt, tin, calcium, lead, cadmium, mercury, antimony, tungsten, manganese, and uranium. So these all are the examples of metals. So if we'll take, we know totally 92 naturally occurring elements. We know known elements, 92 naturally occurring elements. We know that. In that, 70 elements are metals. Out of these 92 naturally occurring elements, 70 elements. This number is very important. 70 elements are metals. All these metals are solids, except one metal. That is what? Mercury, which is a liquid metal, except mercury. Understanding? So remaining all are solid metals. Understand? So this is about characteristics of metal. So if it comes to characteristics of non-metals, just understand. So this is what I said. Characteristics of non-metals is just opposite to the characteristics of metals. So if you learn the characteristics of metals, then you just make it is not showing malleable, it is not showing ductile, then these all are properties of non-metal. So if it comes to the important characteristics of non-metals are the elements which are neither malleable nor ductile. Means they will never show the properties of malleable and properties of ductile, and they are all brittle. They are brittle. See, non-metals are not brittle in nature, but non-metals are brittle in nature. They are neither malleable. They will never show properties of malleable. Neither malleable nor ductile. Understand? So they don't have they are brittle. So non-metals, they do not conduct. Here also some exemption is there. Non-metals do not conduct. Always you just keep do not conduct heat and electricity. One extension case is there that we will study later. Okay. So non-metals are not lustrous. This is also one exception is there. They are not lustrous, or else they are not shiny. Okay. They are very dull in appearance. So solid non-metals are usually neither hot or not strong. They are not strong. You just keep. They are not strong. So they can easily cut. We can cut easily. You can cut. See, these all are, if you'll observe, these are just opposite to the characteristics of metals. Like that, if we'll take melting point and boiling point of non-metals is also very low. So from this I can say that last point is what? Non-metals is having low densities. So means they are not heavy. They are having low density. So they are not heavy. Okay, they are light in nature. Light in the sense of they are having less weight. Okay, so non-metals are not sonorous. They are not sonorous, means which they can, non-metals do not make a ringing sound when we strike them with a hard object. So these all are properties of non-metals, characteristics of non-metals. If you'll observe, these all are just opposite to the characteristics of metals. So if you'll take some of the examples of non-metals are carbon, sulfur, phosphorus, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon. So these all are examples of non-metals. So our understanding of the 92 naturally occurring elements, 22 elements are non-metals. 22 elements are non-metals. Understanding? Remaining 70 are metals. So out of these, 10 non-metals are solids and 1 non-metal is a liquid, whereas remaining 11 metals are gases. See, remember, out of 22, 10 are solid. That is most important. And 1 is liquid. So this liquid non-metal is called as bromine. You have to remember. Bromine is the only liquid non-metal. Okay. Bromine, B-R-O-M-I-N-E, bromine. And remaining 11 non-metals are gases. So that is why I said. So non-metals are existed in three states: solids, liquids, and gases. But metals are, most of the metals are existed in solid state. Only one metal which is existed at liquid state is called as mercury. Understanding? So these all are metals and non-metals. So now if it comes to some other category also, it is there. See, basically all the elements is classifying into two categories, that is metals and non-metals. Now, few different elements is present. These elements having a both properties of metals and non-metals, means they will show some characteristics of metals and some characteristics of non-metals. So now, few elements only, understand, these few elements we are having a both properties of metals and the other properties of non-metals. So that is why these separate elements is we are having some other name. We used to call these elements with some other name, understanding. So that is only called as, that is why I have told you that is only we used to call as metalloids. You have to remember this, metalloids. So there are some elements which show some properties of metals and the other properties of non-metals. So the elements whose properties are intermediate, understanding, it's like it is not belongs to metals and it is not belongs to non-metals. It is having a intermediate between those of metals and non-metals. They are called as metalloids. If you want to just note down the elements whose properties are intermediate in between those of metals and the non-metals are known as metalloids. So for example, if we'll take metals are good conductors of electricity, whereas non-metals do not conduct electricity. Understand? At all. But if it comes to metalloids, metalloids conduct electricity to a small extent. Thus, metalloids are semiconductors. We used to call as a semiconductors. So they are not conducting electricity like a metals, understanding, but they can conduct at a small extent. So that is why we used to call them as a conductors, semiconductors, understanding, semiconductors. Okay, so DUC, TURS, the semiconductors. So for example, if we'll take, see here, here it is not completely not conducting the electricity, or else it is not allowing the electricity to flow from it. It is just showing some small extent. So that is why it is having a, we used to call this kind of metalloids as a semiconductor. Either it is not belongs to the conductors or else insulators. All the non-metals are insulators, except some exceptional cases. Okay. One or two non-metals is good conductors, that I will say you. Okay, that is when we are studying the physical properties of metals and non-metals, that we will study. Okay, but like that, if it comes to the metalloids, metalloids are semiconductors. They are neither belongs to metals or nor belongs to non-metals. So if we take the examples of metalloids are silicon, this is most important, silicon, understanding. So silicon, germanium, understand, like arsenic and tellurium. See, in class 9th, I will show you even a periodic table. Then I will show you what are the elements which is under metalloids. Clearly, you guys can understand. So presently, you just need to remember these four. Understand? So now, this is about the types of elements. So from this, I can say that before previously, you know that all the elements is classified into two categories, metals and non-metals. Now, one more category came, that is what? Metalloids. So some of the elements which show some properties of metals and the other properties of non-metals, they are called as metalloids. So these are semiconductors, example, silicon, germanium, arsenic and tellurium. So with this, I'm going to end this today's session. In next class, we will learn more about metalloids, understanding. Metalloids even we will study in higher classes. In class 9th, we will study, and 10th also. Now we will discuss the properties of metals and non-metals in detail. Okay, so anyhow, class 9th also will study these types of elements, categories of elements. And class 10th, again, you will get the same chapter, metals and non-metals. There we will study everything in detail, more in detail, along with the chemical reactions also. Okay, so with this, I'm going to end this today's class. Thank you. Have a nice day.